According to Voice of America, on September 24th, the Chinese government announced the boldest and most extensive monetary stimulus and real estate market support measures in recent years. And then stocks began to rise significantly. On September 24th, the Shanghai Composite Index soared from 2,660 points to 3,336.5 points, an increase of 8.06%. The trading volume reached 1.17 trillion yuan, and the increase in just 5 days reached 21.4%, the highest level since 1996. As China's second exchange, the Shenzhen Composite Index in Shenzhen, Guangdong soared 10.93% to 1,927.48 points, with trading volume reaching 1.4 trillion yuan. As of the market close on September 27th, the total market value of A shares surged by 9.6 trillion yuan in a single week. On Monday, September 30th, just 35 minutes after the market opened, more than 5,000 stocks in the A-share market rose, and the turnover of the Shanghai and Shenzhen stock markets exceeded RMB 1 trillion, setting a new historical record. The transaction volume in the 6 days before and after is estimated to be as high as RMB 7.86 trillion. On the other hand, Chinese state media and securities firms such as Minsheng and Everbright have spoken out to promote the rebound in the stock market. On social media platforms, stories about making windfalls by investing in the stock market have emerged one after another. Terms such as A-share investors are rushing to enter the market, and investors born in the 1990s and 2000s have entered the market continue to refresh Weibo's hot search list. The entry, a stock investor made 520,000 yuan early in the morning, once topped the list of hot searches. The Chinese people saw the rapid rise of stocks and the news of overnight fortunes promoted by stock trading on the internet, which excited many people. Some people took out their fixed deposits to speculate in stocks, while others used loans. They also said that China has entered an era of nationwide stock speculation. Let's take a look at a few videos first. It's closed. I'm so happy 660 came so suddenly. Friends across the country, cheers. I am so happy this National Day. The subsequent market situation is unimaginable. We must firmly hold outstanding listed companies. This is unexpected. This is an era that the whole world is looking forward to. We need to cherish this bull market, ride on the back of the bull, and keep moving forward. It's crazy, it's crazy. People all over the world are buying and selling stocks. Some people have sold their houses to speculate in stocks. There are also people who took out loans to speculate in stocks. The client who wanted to buy a house some time ago used his down payment to buy stocks. The good days of the stock market are coming soon. And let me tell you, in October, the golden autumn, the prices will rise so high that you will be dizzy. I said that by the end of September 2026, China's stock price will increase to 14,600 points. I declare again today, believe it or not, we will see. A rise in the stock market can drive consumption and boost popularity. I hope that the 200 million shareholders will stick to our beautiful ideal of 10,000 points. I am 77 years old and have been speculating in stocks for more than 30 years. In the past, Shanghai stock investors gathered here, and the stands filled up 2 streets, making it impossible for cars to pass. There are too many people now, more than double the number last week. I have been coming every week since 1990, and it's been 34 years. Everyone is very excited, and the stock market is beyond people's imagination. The stock market has already smelled of a bull market. It has risen by more than 400 points in 4 days, suddenly rising to 3,100. Everyone has tasted the sweetness of making money and is in high spirits. You see, there are many investors from all over the country. We must seize this excellent opportunity because the stock market has experienced a trove for a long time, and it's now hard won. You are right that stocks will not rise before September, but will definitely rise after September. So why did the Chinese stock market rise by 21.4% in just 5 days? This rebound stems from the most powerful package of stimulus measures launched by the Chinese government since the epidemic. At 9 a.m. on September 24th, just an hour before the stock market opened, the People's Bank of China, the Monetary Authority, and the China Securities Regulatory Commission held a joint press conference to announce 3 cuts, including interest rate cuts, a reduction in the down payment for home purchases, and special loans for the securities market. This was big news. Peng Gongsheng, governor of the People's Bank of China, said at the press conference that the central bank will promote economic growth through interest rate cuts and promise to expand consumption and investment. Firstly, we'll reduce the net deposit reserve and the policy interest rate. In the near future, the net deposit reserve will be lowered by 0.5% to provide long-term liquidity to the financial market, about 1 trillion yuan. The 7-day repo rate. We say that the central bank's policy interest rate refers to the 7-day reverse repurchase operation rate. Reduce 0.2% from the current 1.7% to 1.5%. The minimum down payment for mortgages for the first and second homes will be unified, making the down payment for second home loans at the national level even lower than the current 25%, downgraded to 15%. Let's summarize the policies introduced by Beijing. There are 3 main points. First, the Central Bank of the Communist Party of China, the State Financial Supervision Bureau, and the China Securities Regulatory Commission jointly issued 3 new regulations expected by the market: interest rate cuts, reserve requirement ratio cuts, and down payment cuts. Second, to boost the stock market, Beijing launched 2 new tools to support capital markets. One of the measures is the swap plan. The central bank announced that it will allow non-bank investment institutions in China to obtain no less than RMB 500 billion in funds for investment through mortgage loans. In other words, the government directly spent money to stimulate the stock market. Third, the central bank announced that it will guide major banks to lower mortgage interest rates for existing housing loans before October 31st, in an attempt to activate the already troubled real estate market. In line with the requirements of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, Guangzhou announced the lifting of all home purchase restrictions, while Shanghai and Shenzhen further relaxed home purchase restrictions. Just after the announcement of this rare monetary easing policy, China's political bureau held a meeting on September 26th and promised to increase fiscal policy in the future, releasing the strongest and most powerful signal to stabilize the economy so far. Not only ordinary Chinese people, but also senior financial experts are also optimistic that the future of China's economy will be bright.
So far, you see almost across sectors for Chinese stocks broadly rallied on back of the policy easing news. Eventually, there will be winners and leaders. If you look at the policy, you see they really targeted on recovery of the consumer power, consumer sentiments, helping the household to have more disposable income. Eventually, you will see the consumer stock will become the leader in overall the rally.
So can the Beijing government really achieve its goal by releasing the strongest signal to stabilize the economy? Radio Free Asia issued an article saying, "This combination of measures to stimulate the economy can be said to be a complete negation of Xi Jinping's previous economic policies. One cannot help but think of the abruptness and consequences of Xi Jinping's abandonment of the zero-COVID policy overnight." Guo Zhuan, editor-in-chief of the Epoch Times, said that Beijing's 3 major policies have many risks. The central bank's banknote issuance is actually borne by the entire Chinese people, and the beneficiaries are the major shareholders of listed companies and investment banks. The current, newly introduced policies cannot solve the problem at all. This release of water is very Chinese in nature, which boosts the stock market, supports real estate, and stimulates large enterprises, including reducing the down payment ratio for home purchases and lowering housing loan interest rates, all in order to support falling housing prices. The purpose is to support large institutions and local governments, not private businesses and ordinary people. The problem with China's economy is high unemployment and a huge gap between rich and poor, which leads to insufficient consumption. This is more of a political issue. The prescriptions prescribed by the CCP are completely opposite to each other and have not made any political adjustments. It's impossible to solve any problems at all. The current Chinese economy is just paying off bad debts. From a macro perspective, there are at least 5 bad debts that need to be paid off. The first is the real estate bubble. Its collapse should be inevitable because China's real estate has been far out of reach of people's spending power and is purely a vicious speculation. The bad debt of the real estate bubble will involve the decline of more than 100 industries and a sharp drop in local government revenue. The second bad debt is the indiscriminate investment in large-scale infrastructure, which has resulted in local government debts of nearly 100 billion yuan. Local governments are facing the crisis of collective bankruptcy. The third one is bad debts with seriously deformed income distribution. Because China's 600 million people have a monthly income of less than 1,000 yuan and 900 million people have a monthly income of less than 2,000 yuan. Coupled with the 3 major problems of education, medical care, and real estate, people are afraid to consume, resulting in a serious shortage of domestic demand. The economy has entered a vicious cycle. The fourth bad debt is international low-price dumping. In the past 2 decades or so, the CCP has impacted the international trade market with low-price products, which has caused the decline of local manufacturing in many countries. Now, more and more countries are beginning to wake up and have begun to increase tariffs and implement barriers to boycott. The fifth one is that politics has gone back and regressed towards the Cultural Revolution. This has actually seriously harmed the private economy, so a large number of private enterprises are closing down. A large number of wealthy people are fleeing abroad, and a large amount of foreign capital is also withdrawing. These 5 bad debts are all due now and need to be repaid together. There are more than these 5. I am talking about macroscopic and general bad debts. Specific examples include the passionate development of the stock market, the 3-year zero-COVID policy, population decline, and the confrontation between China and the US. These are not included. After these 5 bad debts have been paid off, China's economy will have bottomed out and can go back. No one knows how long it'll take. I believe that no economist in the world has ever seen such a bad economic debt. Japan's real estate bubble took 30 years to repay. How many years will China have to pay back? Another online article titled, "Using Administrative Hands to Save the Market from a Fatal Disease, the CCP is Fighting for Its Life and Death," wrote, "The good days since the CCP's reform and opening up are all the result of improving production relations and releasing productivity. Xi Jinping has done the opposite, destroying production relations and suppressing productivity. The so-called state advancement and private sector withdrawal from government dominance push the market economy to a dead end. Everything is controlled administratively by the government." The fatal disease of China's economy is that the CCP has cancelled its national policy of keeping a low profile. It has given up on the market economy and implemented state advancement and private retreat, suppressing private enterprises and destroying economic laws. It has now become involved in international politics, ambitions to change the geopolitical environment, and challenges the current international rules while eyeing the US and Western countries and supporting a very small number of international evil forces. Xi Jinping has done all the stupid and perverse things. Now, even if he wants to turn back, no one will believe him. Therefore, the CCP's recent rescue measures are just a last-ditch attempt. It seems very determined to use limited administrative means to save the dying market economy. There may be short-term and partial effects, but after so many years of horrific experiences, the Chinese people are already familiar with the CCP's routines. This is another big gamble by the CCP, and it's the last gamble. Finally, let's take a look at what the woke people in mainland China have to say. It's crazy. In 4 days, each investor made an average of RMB 47,000. But ordinary people shouldn't enter the stock market now and don't rush into it. After seeing the news, many people withdraw their fixed deposits, which will expire in a few days. They would rather not get interest than invest in stocks. I work as a loan officer in Shanghai, and more people have asked about loans in the past 2 days, many of whom are planning to trade in stocks. Someone called me today and asked me to cash out with a credit card, and they were also planning to trade in stocks. I find it unbelievable that everyone is crazy. I suggest you be more rational. We are ordinary people investing in small stocks, using all our savings and loans to play games and betting on the rest of our lives. Can you afford it? China's economy is so bad, but the stock market is so hot. Is this normal? Isn't this just setting a trap to let the ordinary people in? They don't buy houses, consume, or take orders. They heat up the stock market and let them come in to take over. Do they understand business operations? Do they know stocks? They don't understand anything. They can only follow others like headless flies, and by following them, they become the biggest takeovers. Isn't this just seeking immediate benefits without considering long-term interests? They are just trapped in the house, and they have invested cash in the stock market. If they are trapped in the stock market again, after being wholly exploited, they will be worse off next and have no money to spend. Isn't this a vicious cycle?